What is happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone out there is doing good, you feel me? So in the last video you saw me trying to get to find parts for sale and see if I could make some money and fund my engine build, but it doesn't look like I got anything that's worth anything in this garage, so it's gonna be a while before I can get to rebuilding that motor. But I figured it'd be a good video, kind of fun to do like a price list and kind of give everyone an idea how much it would cost to rebuild a motor if you had any intention of doing it down the road. Just made this parts list here, just kind of read it and show you how much things cost, add it all up, and we'll see how much money I'm gonna have to save up to do this. I'm not going to be replacing my valves or my valve springs or my spring retainers. I'm also not going to be replacing my valve guides, but I'm going to list them anyway. So first things first, probably want to get the head machined, you know, get it nice and flat and smooth. That typically runs like anywhere between like 150 to like 250, and it can go up depending on you know, the hourly rates and how much extra work you have them do. Say you want to get the valves lapped, say you want to get it dipped in a heat bath, everything's going to add up. And so it's kind of just like a ballpark range that I'm giving you with that. Valves and valve springs and retainers, you can get those for about $205 for the intake and the exhaust sides from Napa Auto. They are made by Altrom, and Altrom is owned by Genuine Parts Company, who specialize in OEM equivalent replacement parts for a huge number of different car companies, all the way from like Toyota to Mercedes. So the only valve spring I could find on Napa's website were the intake valve springs, and they are out of stock. So it looks like the next best bet would just be to get some SuperTech single spring kits with retainers for $380 here, it looks like. I saw another kit for blocks for about $150, but it didn't have the retainers with them, and since I'm not going to be doing this, I'm not going to spend too much more time on talking about the valve springs and retainers. So next up, you got the valve guides. SuperTech has those for looks like about $80 shipped or something like that. And you're going to want to get some valve stem seals. Napa Auto has those for like $32. Cam cover plug, it's always a good idea to replace that, especially if you don't have one like I don't. Valve cover gasket, I have one in the garage, so that's free, but they run like $20 to $30. Intake manifold stud kit and exhaust manifold stud kit, that's just a preference thing for me, and it's going to run about $15 for each kit. Head gaskets vary in price, but I'll just include a screenshot of one that I'm probably going to grab from Napa. Head stud kit isn't necessary, but a lot of people recommend you just replacing them if you are building a motor, especially if you're going to be doing it for performance reasons. You can get ARP head studs for about $115 to like $150, I think. Moving on to the block, you're going to need a timing belt, water pump, and a tensioner kit, unless you already have one. Those run for about $160. Piston rings run about $100. Rod bearings run about $100. Main bearings run about $60 or so, maybe more. I'll put up the screenshot here. Thrust bearings run about $7. 1320 post mount is what I used on the B20 over here, and that ran about $85. And then placing the main seal, that's going to be another $20. And then you got your oil pan gasket, that's another $20 to $40. Oil filters like $10. And then you got your plastic gauge if you're gonna install stuff like I am. I'm gonna be using the plastic gauge just to kind of get a rough idea of where I'm at measurement wise. And then of course you got your fluids. So you can also get your block machined. You know, I don't know how much honing costs, I don't know how much resleeving costs, and it's all going to vary depending on where you live and how much your local machine shop will charge. But yeah, I just want to do a quick rundown of what I'll need to do, and maybe what you would need to do if you were trying to rebuild a motor or build a motor up from scratch pretty much. But yeah.
So I forgot to include the obvious. If your pistons are bad or if the rods are bent, you're gonna need to replace those obviously, and then yeah, those run a pretty penny. I'll add up everything and post it in the description of the video, and that's where I'm gonna end it tonight, folks. Stay tuned.
So with that being said, I'm just going to end the video here, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.